Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamadam Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Tajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you all for accommodating the adjustment for today. So this proves you are all really eager to hear the divine pastimes of the Lord. So this is the kind of eagerness that the Lord appreciates. Love for Krishna, the early stages of devotion is not seen so much in terms of crying, feeling strong separation. Sometimes, occasionally, some devotees may feel like that, but generally it is palpably understood in terms of the eagerness to hear and speak about the Lord. And the more we are eager without feeling bored, that means we are developing a transcendental attraction. We are progressing in love for Krishna. So we have come to chapter 9 of the Adi Lila. I was thinking of doing chapter 9 and chapter 10, and then I was counting the verses and I realized that chapter 10 is almost 150 verses. So I said chapter 9 and chapter 10 together may be difficult. We'll cover chapter 9 for sure for today. So for sure meaning Krishna will. Let's see if we get time, we may enter into chapter 10. I need to finish a little early because I have another meeting at 10. I need to jump to Zoom meeting. So I may have to wind up by 9:55. Just letting you know, in case you be rushing off sooner, so that you know why. So in our journey of Adi Lila, we discussed in our last conversation how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, such an amazing example, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, such an amazing example of humility. How he was in the best position to write this work, but he was extremely hesitant because he felt himself very incapable, even though he is a very exalted devotee. All the devotees, the great devotees of Vrindavan, they were so eager to hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, especially the middle and later pastimes, because Chaitanya Bhagavad, written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, had become so voluminous that Vrindavan Das Thakur, the Vyas of Chaitanya Lila, had excluded much of the Lord's later and middle part. But these had been carefully captured by Swarup Damodar and to some extent by Murari Gupta. They were recorded in diaries, and through Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had access to many of these Kadachas, diaries. So he was privy to all this information. This is not very, this is very soon after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya, and devotees were so eager, please, we want to know. And while a devotee doesn't feel himself qualified ever to speak about the Lord, even if you see the Bhagavatam, even Shukdev Goswami says, the Lord are like an unlimited sky. I'm like a bird. I can only fly as high as my capacity allows. Nobody can stand. Even Ananta Shesha cannot measure the limits of the Lord's glory. So of course, all of us try to, according to our capacity, try to represent the parampara and present the message of what we have heard. So in that spirit, based on the eagerness, was Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was contemplating, but he was very, very hesitant. He said, I must ask the Lord for permission. He went and asked Madan Mohan. Garland fell as soon as he was offering that prayer. So he received the blessings. All the Vaishnavas said, Hari Bo. And also finally Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami took the blessings of Vrindavan Das Thakur, who had written the Chaitanya Bhagavatam. Vrindavan Das Thakur's history is briefly mentioned that he received such great blessings because he was the son of this great devotee known as Narayani, who would receive the remnants of Lord Chaitanya, and she was a very young girl. He grew up to be a great devotee, and eventually she gave birth to this great soul, Vrindavan Das Thakur, wrote down the Bhagavatam. So that is again just a quick playback of the chapter. Suraj is saying there is some delay in hearing. Are others experiencing a delay?
Yeah, Prabhuji,
Yes, Prabhuji, the voice is not very clear today.
maybe mic position.
Okay, 1 minute. The mic will not cause a delay, it may affect the quality. Is it better? The mic will not cause a delay. I've used this mic a little earlier for another conversation. I didn't have. Do you still see a delay or hear a delay?
There is
The delay is
actually
not there, Prabhuji. The voice is not
dropping off.
like normal.
Okay, fine. Then let me go back to the other one because I was trying out. How is it now?
Yeah, this is better.
Better, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'm not using the pad today for a particular reason. The belt. But anyway, let's make do with this. But is there a lag or is it clear now?
No lag for me,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
No lag. Okay.
No lag.
Okay, fine. We can continue. Anyway, as long as you hear and the sound is distinct, it should be adequate. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very humbly, after receiving all these blessings, he writes the Chaitanya Charitamrita, such a long work, and he's in his, I think, 90s at that time. So he was not even young. He's saying, my hands are shaking as I'm writing. I do not know how I'm doing it, but he considers that actually Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dictating and he's writing. So advanced devotees who are in connection with the Lord can experience that connection so intently that the Lord uses them as an instrument to speak or to write. Prabhupada also would often mention this to his own disciples, that I have not written these books. And all preachers of Krishna consciousness, those who have spent a reasonable period of time trying to preach, often see in their own experience how they feel that sometimes, Krishna is just inspiring and giving certain things to speak. And why the Lord does like that is because certain people in the audience need to hear certain things, and the Lord inspires the speaker. Speak this, speak this. Speak this because he needs to hear. Speak this also, so she needs to hear. And in that way, the Lord uses the devotee as a medium. Of course, the more advanced a soul is, the more transparent he is as a via medium. So our purpose or our aspiration as a person who does Harikatha, as a preacher, is to try to be as far as possible a transparent via medium of Guru and Krishna. And we will see, Krishna will help us to understand how he is, how he uses those who are willing to be used in his service so wonderfully to connect and deliver other living entities. It is very amazing. The Lord's pastimes are very, very amazing. Anyway, so after chapter 8, chapter 9 is a very interesting topic. The chapter 9 goes to another topic where the author tries to explain Lord Chaitanya's pastimes through a very beautiful figurative example. So what he does is, he compares Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes to a huge tree, not an ordinary tree, a wish-fulfilling tree. Because Krishna consciousness is wish-fulfilling, isn't it? Bhakti is wish-fulfilling in the sense that one who is a devotee, nothing remains unattainable for him. Krishna's devotion in that sense is like a kalpavriksha. Of course, the devotee never asks or seeks for bhakti and mukti, even though those are readily available from the tree of devotion. But those are not what he seeks. He only seeks prema, pure love, because that is what satisfies the devotee's heart most deeply and most completely. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in this particular chapter gives a very interesting figurative example. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami starts by saying that Lord Chaitanya, his name is Vishwambhara. By the way, in case you are not aware, Vishwambhar was the official name given, like what we say, the name on paper. Our IC name, passport name, Aadhaar card name, whatever. So the name that was given, the official name was Vishwambhar. His brother's name was Vishwarupa, and his name was Vishwambhara. The name Vishwambhara means one who maintains the entire universe. Vishwambhara. Bharan means nourishment. Vishwambhara, he who nourishes the whole universe. So nourishes here doesn't mean just in terms of vitamin nourishment, protein nourishment. The nourishment that is being spoken here is at a spiritual level. The nourishment that Lord Chaitanya is talking about, Lord is saying that when I can fill the whole universe with Krishna Prem, then the actual meaning of Vishwambhara will be realized for me. So from the Lord's perspective, the word Vishwambhar means he who nourished the whole world, nourished the living entities with what they really need, which is love for Krishna. So thinking like this, Lord Chaitanya said, I want to nourish this whole world. So he said, let me be a gardener. Now this is all a figurative example. Okay? So that the point is made how Lord Chaitanya set up the Krishna consciousness movement. That's essentially what this chapter is trying to tell. Giving a broad structure of Lord Chaitanya's Lila by explaining the Lord's role, the role of his various associates, and how they are all connected, and what was the overall function that this whole family of Lord Chaitanya performed through this beautiful figurative example. So it is said Lord Chaitanya, he became a gardener and he started growing a garden in Navadvip. Navadvip is the area where he was born. Within Navadvip is the village of Mayapur. The Lord Chaitanya appeared. So what did Lord do? He sowed the seed. What kind of seed of what tree? Was it mango, jackfruit, banana? Of course, banana doesn't have seeds. Chiku, grapes, no. He brought the seed of the Kalpa Vriksha, the desire tree of bhakti, from the spiritual world and sowed it in the garden of Navadvip. And as the gardener, he started sprinkling it with water. What is the nature of that water? The nature of that water was his will. So how do things manifest in this world? By the will of the Lord. So will is the watering of the seed. So the seed is the desire, the watering is the will. So in this tree example, and we will go through, the comparison of the whole tree, but essentially, okay, we will probably come to that a little later. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that even before Lord Chaitanya appeared in this world, this tree was already sown, the seed of this tree was already sown in the form of Madhavendra Puri. Now, Madhavendra Puri, who is Madhavendra Puri? The Madhavendra Puri is the guru of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's guru is Srila Ishwara Puri, and his guru is Srila Madhavendra Puri. Now, before Madhavendra Puri appeared in this world, Krishna Prema was nowhere to be found. In fact, even those who are worshipping the Lord were generally worshipping the Lord as Narayana or Vishnu. Pure Krishna Prem of the quality of Vraja, the residents of Vrindavan, had practically disappeared after Krishna's disappearance and was not there to be found anywhere. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to distribute it into this world, he first sent Madhavendra Puri, who was considered a storehouse of all devotional service. Very, very extraordinary devotee. So even though it is not mentioned in this chapter, Madhavendra Puri is mentioned elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Madhavendra Puri in the spiritual world is a Kalpa Vriksha tree. Very interesting. He himself is a tree. Not an ordinary tree. He is the tree under which, is a wish-fulfilling tree, but he's the tree under which Radha and Krishna especially perform their confidential pastimes. And he ensures, as it in the form of the tree, that he performs and facilitates whatever way as a tree he can serve to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna. So he is very, very familiar with the most intimate aspects of divine love between Radha and Krishna. You may be thinking, oh, why tree? But in the spiritual world, we should not think like this. It doesn't matter. Because actually, everybody in the spiritual world is Chinmaya. There is no difference between the body and the soul. The form, whatever one takes, is actually the manifestation of the soul itself. So in the spiritual world, it is not that the tree is lower than the gopa, or the deer or the cow is lower. No. All are fully perfected souls who are manifesting different forms to perform various kinds of loving services to the Supreme Lord. They are all perfected living entities, fully conscious. There is no mode of ignorance. A tree in this world is influenced by mode of ignorance. The spiritual world, the tree is not influenced. It is as transcendental as a gopi or a gopa. It is all perfectly situated. So this tree of Kalpavriksha was sent down by Lord Krishna, or Lord Chaitanya to be more specific, to create the foundation, the foundational seeds of Krishna consciousness in this world, even before Lord Chaitanya came. Because Lord Chaitanya wanted to create some background before he himself appeared. So Chaitanya Charitamrita says the seed of pure devotion that Krishna sent to the world first fructified in the form of Madhavendra in his heart. At that time, Lord Chaitanya had not even appeared. Then from the heart of Lord Chaitanya, it fructified in the heart of Srila Ishwarapuri. And then the original gardener who actually planted the seed also in Madhavendra Puri, he manifested himself, Lord Chaitanya, as the trunk of the tree. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says very interestingly, Lord Chaitanya was the gardener, is also the trunk of the tree, and is also all the branches. That is the transcendental thing about the Lord. But he ensured that the seed was sown so that when time comes, he will manifest as the branch. Because even when Madhavendra Puri and Ishwar Puri were there, and even as pure devotees they were there, the prema of Vraja was still within their hearts. There were very, very few devotees in the world, very, very few confidential devotees, not conditioned souls, confidential eternal associates of the Lord who had descended from the spiritual world, who had received initiation from Madhavendra Puri and Ishwara Puri, who were tasting that prema. But it wasn't manifested to the world. So Lord Chaitanya's purpose was to come and manifest it to the world. So Lord Chaitanya became the gardener, became the trunk, as well as the branches. So along with Madhavendra Puri in that generation, even though Madhavendra Puri was the first person, there were quite a few sannyasis who were either disciples of or associates of Madhavendra Puri, who were all senior to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were at the generation of his father, at the generation of his guru. Especially 9 of them are very prominent. And these 9 sannyasis are considered the roots of the tree of pure devotion. So even though the seed was given to Madhavendra Puri, the roots which were, so what is a root? A root is what forms the foundation and holds the tree strong. So 9 such very steadfast, great devotees form the foundation of Krishna consciousness. Who are these 9 great sannyasis? Paramananda Puri, Keshava Bharati, Brahmananda Puri, Brahmananda Bharati, Shri Vishnu Puri, Keshava Puri, Krishnananda Puri. Sri Narasimha Tirtha and Sukhananda Puri. Now, many of you may be hearing these names for the first time, but across Chaitanya Charitamrita, if not all, quite a few of these personalities have certain pastimes. So do not worry if the name doesn't, ring a bell. I do not have time now to go into those pastimes, because if I go there, then we will not be able to complete the chapter. And the second thing is, these pastimes are covered later. Especially Paramananda Puri. Paramananda Puri was a very, very great devotee. He was in Puri and associating with Lord Chaitanya. Keshav Bharati is the sannyasi who gave sannyas diksha, Lord Chaitanya. Paramananda Puri, Brahmananda Puri, all of them were in Jagannath Puri, and they were associating with Lord Chaitanya. So there are various beautiful pastimes of Brahmananda Bharati, Keshav Bharati, Paramananda Puri, which are mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this tree, the trunk of which is Lord Chaitanya, was standing steadfast on this 9. And what this means again is that when the parampara is standing on very strong foundation of great, great spiritual masters who have laid down the foundation of the Siddhanta of Krishna consciousness, who have laid down the principles and the culture of Krishna consciousness, it becomes so much easier for the devotees of the subsequent generations to, grow in their devotion. It is said out of all these 9 routes, which were going in different branches, the most important central route was Paramananda Puri. And there are beautiful pastimes. Many of you may remember. Anybody remembers the house of Paramananda Puri or the well of Paramananda Puri, where we went in Jagannath Puri? Anybody recollects? Very, very special place. It's not far from Jagannath temple. It's a very, very special place. So it is said, from the trunk of the tree, which is Lord Chaitanya, many, many branches grew. So there is a trunk, which is the main pillar of the tree, and from there various branches grow. And in that way, as the branches grow, and from the branches, sub-branches grow, and they spread all over and make a huge tree. And in that way, through that huge tree, through the branches and sub-branches, the tree of devotion grew through the devotees and their disciples and their disciples and their disciples all over the world. So as we are describing this tree, please understand that we are also somewhere on that tree. So Rita Joshi Mataji is also on one of the tree branch somewhere. Sarva Lakshmi is there, Shri Devi ji is there, Sapna ji is there. We are all on that tree, literally. Of course, literally means figuratively, but we are also there. I mean it in all earnestness. Because that is the mission of the Lord. That tree is still there in this world in the form of the mission. It is still growing. The tree is still growing. Has it stopped after Lord Chaitanya disappeared? No. For 10,000 years, Lord Chaitanya's mission will continue and the tree will continue to grow. In fact, the tree is growing over the last 50, 70 years even more rapidly than it grew even in Lord Chaitanya's time. Now all over the world it is growing. Prithivite ache yatan nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoi bhumorana. And that is also mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll discuss that later. So please do not think that this is just some far out concept that we have no connection to. No, we are all product of this tree only. So we are on one of the sub branches of the sub branches of the sub branches of the sub branches on one twig. We are all located. Anyway, let's go back to the main trunk. The main trunk is Lord Chaitanya, and from that main trunk, 2 main branches came out. Big. huge branches. One branch of the tree of Lord Chaitanya is called the Advaita branch, and one is called the Nityananda Prabhu branch. What this means is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's main preaching assistants were Advaita and Nityananda, and from them much of the preaching happened. And the disciples and the grand disciples of all these Advaita branch and the Nityananda branch spread throughout the entire world. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, I cannot count them. It is not possible to enumerate all of them. So many of them. And all of these branches bore fruit, which means devotees were there and devotees achieved Krishna Prem. The fruit on this tree, and the interesting thing is the fruit comes on every branch, on every twig of this tree of devotion. Each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compares it to a fig tree. Have you seen a fig tree? F-I-G, fig. Please raise your hand if you have seen a fig tree. I can't see who has raised hands. Maybe you can just... Nobody has seen a fig tree. I think you're all not from the material world. Okay, only Amit and I are from the material world. So Amit, you can share. Have you seen a fig tree? What is peculiar about a fig tree?
Don't remember what is peculiar. I have seen it. Don't remember the peculiarity.
Okay. Anybody has heard or knows what is peculiar about a fig tree? Okay. So if you haven't, you can do a Google later, but I will tell you what it is because I have seen. The peculiar thing about the fig tree is, unlike other trees, you talk about a mango or jackfruit, at a particular point on a small branch from a twig, a fruit will hang. Correct? Right? Mango tree, from a branch, a small twig, at the end, one fruit will hang. That is what is true for most of the trees. But a fig tree is different because the fruits grow everywhere all over the tree, including on the branches directly. On a branch directly. It doesn't even need a twig. Please Google a fig tree later and check. So you'll get an idea why he's giving that example. Of course, you want to Google now, you can Google now also. As long as you can continue to hear. It's very interesting. So why he's coming to a fig tree? Because everywhere on the branch, it's not that the fruit is coming only on the edges. The fruit is there everywhere, all over the tree. Which means that the whole tree is laden with fruits. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that on all the branches, whether which branch, which sub-branch, everywhere the fruit was there, which means all these devotees were achieving pure devotion and achieving Krishna consciousness. And each of these fruits is so valuable. It is so sweet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself tasted that fruit. He had come down to earth to taste it, isn't it? We discussed the reasons why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. He wanted to experience Krishna Bhakti, especially the love of Radharani he wanted to experience. So he came and he was tasting the figs. And after he was tasting it, he wanted to give that fruit to others. And the gardener, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said he distributed that fruit without asking for any price. Without asking for any price. Now you may say, oh, then why everybody doesn't get it? Correct? I remember when we go for Jagannath Rath Yatra here in Kuala Lumpur or in any part of the world. The devotees, as Jagannath is going in the procession, there are many devotees, an army of devotees who are carrying bags of prasad, and they go around to distribute, take small packets. Even though it is free, some will take, some will refuse. So even though there is no price, the price to receive it is the willingness to accept. They don't accept, what can we do? Huh? You cannot tie their hands and open their mouth in trust. Krishna doesn't do that because bhakti is a matter of free will. Krishna never forces bhakti. You have to be willing to accept. At most, Krishna may be willing to give it free, but he will not force it. And that too, this free giving happens only in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So he was distributing them without asking for any price. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, even that one fruit, there were millions of fruits on that tree, even that one fruit, the one fig out of the millions of figs, cannot equal the wealth of all the three worlds. That is the super excellence of this fruit. And without considering who asked for it or who didn't ask for it, who was fit and who is not fit, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was distributing it. Either he was distributing it himself, earlier he was distributing it himself. For example, in the early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya went to South India. And he was distributing Krishna Prem himself, personally. He was with practically no one other than a servant, but he was distributing it himself. And it is said, as Lord Chaitanya was distributing it, he was so happy. He was giving handful after handful to all the people in all the directions who were hungry for Prem. Actually, the heart of every living entity, every condition is actually looking for this love, this Krishna Prem. Because that's the only thing which will satisfy. Actually, in the Krishna book, I do not know whether you have read, I think it's in the preface where George Harrison writes. He says, actually, everyone is looking for Krishna. Everyone is looking for Krishna. Some know it, some don't know it. And those who don't know it and happen to have envy, they look for that Krishna within material things. And eventually they get frustrated because they don't get it. But actually what they are looking for, actually what we are looking for is Krishna, Krishna Prem. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving all these hungry people. When we say hungry, we are talking about the hungry heart. Not talking about hungry as in belly hungry. The heart is hungry, isn't it? Isn't our heart hungry for love? Right? Actually, what we are all looking for is love. That is why the deepest relationships in this life are not those who are the most prettiest people or the most wealthiest people or the most powerful people. Our closest relationship are with those from whom we have received love. Because that is where we feel satisfaction in the heart. That is where we find meaning. That is where we find some purpose. And ultimately, all love is coming from Krishna and is originally from within Krishna Prem. Of course, in this material world, it becomes manifested in a perverted way as material relationships and sometimes in a more perverted way as material lust. But the ultimate source in its pure form of this desire is the desire to love and be loved. This is the fundamental desire of all living entities. Raghunath Maharaj so many times in his classes, the fundamental desire for all of us is to love and be loved. So if we divert from this and go elsewhere, if we chase things rather than love, then we are going to be frustrated. Even the most successful people, wealthy people, powerful people in this world, their hearts are dry. Their hearts are hungry if they do not have any deep, meaningful, loving relationship with others. Anyway, this is a side point. Just wanted to make sure you understand what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is meaning when he is saying, hungry people ate the fruit. And when Lord Chaitanya would see them being satisfied, oh, finally I found out that this is what will satisfy me. See, all the living entities are going from life to life, not satisfied. Okay, try something else. Not satisfied, try something else. Finally, when they eat the fruit from this tree, this is so wonderful. That's all I was looking for. And when they become satisfied, it is said the gardener becomes very satisfied. Yes, my job is done. I've produced the fruit, distributed it, and the actual result is my customer has become satisfied. The one for whom I made or cultivated this garden has actually received. So in that way, initially Lord Chaitanya distributed himself, but then over time, through the branches, he started distributing the fruits. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, normally a tree doesn't move. But the tree of Lord Chaitanya, because it is spiritual, it can move. What does this mean? That bhakti is spreading all over the world. In that sense, it is moving. It is not, even though it started in Navadvip, it is not limited to Navadvip. It is going everywhere. I am sitting in Kuala Lumpur. Suraj is sitting in Hyderabad. So many others are sitting. Some are in Dubai, some are in Nashik, some are in Chennai. The tree has reached everywhere, but the tree trunk is in Navadvip. And this whole tree is spiritual. And it is spreading all over the world. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is thinking, oh, I am the only gardener. And I've been tasting and distributing the fruits, but I cannot go to all the places and distribute these fruits myself. How many fruits can I pick up and distribute by myself? It will actually be such a laborious thing for me to do this. And if I try to do it myself, it will take so long, and then still some people may take it, some others may not take it. That is why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I am ordering each and every person within this universe to accept this Krishna consciousness movement and distribute it everywhere. Which means, if somebody asks us, why are you going and preaching Krishna consciousness? Who has authorized you? Who has authorized you? Are you a pure devotee? Are you a great Mahatma that you are speaking about Krishna and speaking about all these things? So where did we get the license from? Correct? To do certain things, you need a license, right? To be a doctor, you need to be a licensed practitioner. To be an accountant, you also need a certificate. You have to go through not just a written exam, but you have to go through an internship and receive your it's a practice. I don't remember the exact name, but I think it's a kind of a practitioner certificate. Doctor needs it. Most professionals need it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is declaring it boldly. I am empowering each and every person within this world. You become Krishna conscious and you distribute this fruit to others. Okay, so I am also getting my license from the same place. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not put any condition. Only if you are pure, you distribute. So if somebody is wondering, should I, can I, I'm not qualified, I am this, I am that. Of course, we must remain humble if we are not qualified. We cannot pretend to be great devotees. No, we are just sharing what we have heard in Parampara. But that order is coming from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Because he's thinking that I cannot and I am so eager to give it, so I am empowering everybody. Everybody do it. Otherwise, what am I going to do with so many fruits? How many fruits can I eat alone? So distribute these fruits all over the world. Let people eat these fruits and become free from Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And if these fruits are distributed everywhere, Lord Chaitanya says, then my reputation will be known everywhere, which means everybody will become familiar with the personality and glories of Lord Chaitanya. And in that way, they will glorify me. and they will be delivered. And then he gives that very, very, very famous instruction. What is that? Bharata bhumile oilo manushya janmajar janma sarthaka kari karapar optar. Even though he has given license to everybody and all living entities over the universe to distribute, he's especially now instructing those who are born in India. He says, for others I have given license, but for the Indians I am telling, those who are born in this land of India as a human being, it is their duty to make their own life successful by being Krishna conscious and by helping others to make their life successful by giving them Krishna consciousness. Bharata bhumile oilo manushya janmajar. Because they are extremely fortunate. The scriptures in many, many places say that birth in India is very, very special. Birth as a human being is special, but birth as a human being in India is very special. Because then it is very easy to make spiritual advancement because you're born within the culture which values spirituality. And for such people, it is their duty to take it up, learn it, and teach it. And this will happen very soon. All this while India was sleeping, but now India is waking up. And India will, in due course, take its position as Vishwaguru, as more and more people get awakened to spiritual life and start learning it and preaching it all over the world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, this is the duty. It is the duty of every living being to do welfare for others. And this is the greatest welfare. What is the greatest welfare? The greatest welfare is to give the charity of Krishna consciousness. So I want to bestow this benediction on everybody. So please, everybody, help me so that this mercy of Krishna Prem can be distributed. So the descendants of this tree from the branches, sub-branches, all these great personalities, they are receiving this instruction from the Lord. So their roles and responsibilities are already decided by the Lord. You become perfect, which means you learn and become devotee and share it with others. And they share it with somebody, they become devotee, you become devotee, you share it with others. Okay, so it is like a multi-level marketing scheme. You join the system, you take benefit, you introduce others, they get benefit, and you get benefit when they get benefit. You get commission. Dasturi loibo hami purna habeka. That's another song where Nityananda Prabhu is distributing the holy name. So when we give somebody the holy name and they accept it, of course they get benefited, but we get commission. What commission? Not money commission. We make more progress in bhakti when we help others to progress in bhakti. So this is the great happiness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he has come as the gardener, as the tree trunk, and the one who wants the fruits to be distributed. When he sees that living entities are accepting this fruit and eating it and also distributing it, the Lord is very, very happy. So this is the very easy way to please Lord Chaitanya. Just accept the holy name. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and teach about Krishna to others. Very simple. Everybody should do that. But especially people in India, it is their duty. So the Lord enjoys when he sees groups of devotees chanting together, dancing together. And when he sees this, he becomes mad with ecstasy and he starts dancing out of love. So through this Sankirtan movement of the Lord, and this whole preaching of Krishna Bhakti is happening through the mechanism of the holy name, but distributed through the congregational chanting of the holy names. The Lord made everybody mad like himself. and all over the world. Even those people who at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time were criticizing Lord Chaitanya, when they got in touch with this movement and they ate the fruit, they also became mad. So there were many people in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes who originally rejected or criticized the Lord, but were transformed by the power of compassion of the Lord. So as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami comes to the conclusion of this chapter, he says that this is the broad description of the concept of the tree and the purpose behind the tree. But now, I told you, right, there's a trunk and there are two main branches, Advaita and Nityananda. But now let us discuss the tree in great detail, the full geography of the tree. I want to describe, there are around 100 branches, 90 odd branches, 90 or 91 branches. The next chapter, chapter 10, is going to each of the branches, and for some of the branches is describing the sub branches. And for some of these branches, essentially each of these branches are disciples of the disciples, and in that way, the tree flourishes. And for some of the branches, he gives some beautiful glorification of that great personalities who are in charge of those branches. So next chapter is full of it's full of names. Maybe a few hundred names of great devotee associates of Lord Chaitanya directly connected to him, or one or two generations after that. Not more than two, maybe one or maximum two. So many, many devotees, wonderful names, and many of these devotees, detailed pastimes are covered later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we will be going through some of those names in the next class. Do not worry if you don't understand the names, you don't know who they are. Just by hearing the names of these great devotees, will become purified. So don't worry. You will gradually become familiar with all these personalities as we progress to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. If not each and every person, but the vast majority of them. Okay. So thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ends the chapter by saying, praying at the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their steps. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Okay, so I need to log off now. So if there are any
Thank you,
questions,
Prabhu.
we can take it off later. I need to quickly change and head to another meeting. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samved Gaur Bhakta.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Saturday, and we will continue with our
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.